All right, it is Stars Without Number, Fels Rising, Session 4. Time for the recap.
We went. We were told we had to go back out and do more exploring. So by whatever the general's name was,
General Marquar.
right? So we became local heroes because we managed to get a fresh meat supply, a fresh irradiated meat supply in the form of the Spunkosaurus to the people of the settlement. So they all came out to watch us go, probably hoping we would find more Spunkosaurus. Uh, my character gave a 20-minute sermon, and we distributed crackers. And somehow a single package of crackers managed to last through the multitudes in the crowd. So the next sermon is going to be all about the miracle of the crackers. uh, we went out and passed through the barrier, the hazy cloud that separated the area of the plateau we're on from the rest of the plateau. We were immediately attacked on the other side by people on cast iron bicycles who must have just like ripped legs because cast iron is so heavy. But we managed to, the ship that dropped us off, I guess, got hit by something or it was affected by the cloud. We were at the time not sure what caused its problems, but it managed to drop our vehicle on the ground before spiraling into a crash. We made our way to the crash site, and Skrillex got some technology. I don't know if it was a VCR or if that was the last time he was scavenging, but I forget.
I think the VCR was last time. This time it was.
It's like the black box.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but you pulled something out of the wreckage. We continued on. Oh, the people on the bicycles were also wearing dog face masks. So we made our way to a different settlement, expecting to be attacked, but it turned out that these people are the enemy of the people in the dog face masks. We met with their leader, who tried to get us to cooperate with him in overthrowing the porcelain prince. We decided to take him up on that offer, but before actually going to attack like the one bridge that leads to the porcelain prince's area, we wanted to go back and report into General Marquar. So we headed back towards the cloud, taking a detour to stop at the catapult that they had there, that apparently is used by the porcelain prince to throw people into hell, which is where we live, even though it seems much nicer on our side of the barrier. We then drove through the barrier, but our equipment started to fail. Skrillex's mech started to fail. We eventually came to a stop, and Krieg and sorry, what was your character's name?
Xavier.
Oh, Zavir. Krieg and Zavir started pushing our vehicle through the mist, with Skrillex standing on top. I forget where your mech was. Was your mech still inside?
Driving, yep.
Right. So as we're pushing, we apparently didn't notice that there was like a ravine, like a deep ravine, when we were flying over it, probably because of the mist. So as we're pushing, Skrillex noticed the ravine in front of us. Zavir and I couldn't see it. So we pushed the vehicle forward into the ravine, where it went over the side with Skrillex still on top and his mech still inside, plummeting to the bottom of the ravine below, something like 50 feet. And that's where we ended it.
Well,
wondering if we had just killed Skrillex. Although he was being kind of a dick right beforehand, like he was clearly just asking for it.
Well, there was a discussion whether to take the mech out of the vehicle, and that did not happen. The vehicle is not going over the ravine; it's headed that way. So that's where.
I thought it was already a foregone conclusion.
No, you'll get to roll to see if you can save the vehicle from going over the edge. So, is there anything anybody want to add?
One thing that for our multitude of viewers, the one thing that we did learn is while we were in the settlement that existed for 1,000 years. 1,000 years according to the people who live there, and that they came from the stars. Because the question was, how did they get here? How long have they been here? And so that was what came up.
Right. Also, the porcelain prince took over his region of the plateau hundreds of years ago. So I don't know if the porcelain prince is just that old, or it not human, or it's just a title.
What do we know about do the year, like, is a year on this planet like an Earth year, or do we know from being here like how long a year is?
There's kind of a standard year that Sindum has now. They took it from the ICAAOS.
Gotcha. So,
But did they have that standard year 1,000 years ago so that the people on this planet would know what the standard year is?
Yeah. He's ballparking it.
seniors.
It could be dog years.
We also, that reminded me, had a discussion as to how he still spoke our language after 1,000 years of isolation.
Mm-hmm. All right. So as the vehicle is moving through the mist and Skrillex has told everyone to stop, I will let you give a bonus die to both these guys if they're going to prevent the vehicle from. Oh, they could just push it over the edge and not give a shit.
So what sort of skill check would we make to stop pushing it over? It's already rolling. Presumably, if we just stop pushing, it's going to continue rolling. I would guess we would have to grab like a bumper.
Yep.
And hopefully they turn the electro bumper off.
Yeah, it's just in the front. So if Skrillex wants to make some sort of check to see if he can give you a bonus die, I would let him do that. If he can think of something.
Let's see.
Other than screaming at you.
But that's lead, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
that
it would be a
could be.
lead check.
There we go. Yeah, lead. That would work. So that would be just an average lead check.
Yeah, 6.
That's what you needed.
That's not average.
2d6.
Yeah, it is average.
Out of the book, it's average.
2d6, and then I have a -1, and then a +1.
So.
Right, but the average is 7.
Yeah, it's 3.5 each.
Fair enough. So for this check, you will need an average of 9 each. So it'd be a total of 18 for both of you. And you get a bonus die. So I would think exert probably would be 1 if you can think of something equivalent to stop the vehicle from moving. You could both use the same one if you want, if you both have to use exert, because I know Zephyr is buff probably.
Zephyr is going to use exert because that's what she has points in.
Yeah, that's as good as anything. So the bonus die is we roll 3 and drop the lowest?
Yep. You could drop the highest if you don't like Skrillex.
Let's see. I'll just roll another d6. Oh, nice.
Uh-oh.
So I got an 11. As I did not, I didn't set it up to roll that way.
Right. I got an 8 with the bonus die.
All right. That's just 1 more than you need. So you just stop it before it goes over.
Skrillex goes, woohoo!
So in this mist, obviously we can't see. Do we feel? I don't remember. Is it like does it like is it like harder to breathe? Is it it's just like it's not like smoke or anything. It's not like
No, it's
dust in
just
the air.
right. It's just like mist.
That was a close one.
Should we keep pushing? I say softly.
I mean,
No, don't push. We'll lose. Nah, I'll lose my mech, but we'll all lose the vehicle.
yes, Skrillex will be useless out here without his mech. And I don't know how we're going to get this. I don't know how we're going to get this vehicle out of this fog if we cannot drive it.
Well, it wasn't that far to push it out the other way.
Yeah, but now we'll have to pull it.
Right.
well,
we don't know where this ravine ends. It could go on for who knows how long.
Yes, we will probably have to pull the vehicle out one way or another, or else it will just sit here and rot. Although we could at least walk along. I mean, even harder is to push the vehicle along the ravine and then get it across to get it back to the settlement. But maybe we could make it back on foot to report in.
My mech. Well, if we're gonna be walking, I'm gonna need to ride on somebody. I'm not very fast compared to you guys with your big, huge, long legs.
How much does your mech weigh?
It's mostly made out of junk, so I don't imagine it weighs too much. Probably like 250, 300 pounds. Since it is like person sized. Well, normal, you're person sized, not Skrillex's person sized.
Right. So if we can find a way back on foot, maybe we can come back and salvage it and carry it out again. Otherwise, we could just push it back out when we push the vehicle out. I don't think we should push the vehicle out now. Not if we're trying to make it back to the settlement again, because leaving it on the other side leaves it open to all the bicycle weirdos.
Well, we should at least attempt to secure it somehow. Put on the parking brake and lock it up.
I don't disagree with that. So is there like a non-electronic parking brake instead of locks? Because I'm sure I'm pressing like the key fob right now, waiting for the beeps, and it's just not working.
Can I am was could I leave my compad here, my standard issued compad, and be able to connect to have like maybe Illumination Boys compad, since this has been decked out with all the streaming gear, be able to locate it?
Is your compad working?
Yeah, I think that's the whole point, is that in this fog, technology is not working. Anything electronic is dead.
That's right. I am worried that if we leave, we will never find our vehicle again, since it is lost in the fog without a way to locate it.
To be fair, there's no reason to believe that when we push the vehicle out of the fog that the vehicle will work. Remember, our ship passed through the fog and then crashed after it left.
Oh, I am not arguing that we leave the vehicle out in or out of the fog. I mean more so, if we want to come back to it, how are we going to come back to it? I suppose we could leave it right next to the ravine and walk until we hit the ravine and then pick a direction.
Well, this fog, it's not very far, right? We don't think.
I thought we were like 5 miles in.
No, it was like a couple 100 feet.
Yeah. When you pushed it in, yeah.
Do we have any significant amount of rope or string or anything?
I do not.
I also do not. I mean, I have some rope, but not like hundreds of feet of rope.
Well, I suppose if we leave it by the ravine, we know that we entered in near the catapult, so we would know that it would be a few 100 feet from the catapult, which would be, I guess, close enough.
Right. Well, for now, I feel like we should probably walk along this ravine and see if we can find a way across it.
This is fair.
Well, maybe we can climb down. Maybe it's not that far, that deep. I mean, the fog prevents us from seeing down deep into the ravine, right, Peter?
Correct, yeah.
So, I mean, it's not ideal, but Krieg, you do have some rope, right?
I have a climbing harness, which, as we all know, is a collection of straps, ropes, pitons, and other climbing aids that grant a +1 bonus to any exert climbing skill check.
Well, if you just give me one end of it, I can hold on to it, and you can lower me slowly into the ravine. I mean, I don't weigh all that much. I'm just like, I guess a few ounces of,
Yeah, I'm willing to do that.
just be ready to pull me up quick.
Sure thing. So I'm going to start I'll pull the climbing harness out and begin to feed rope to Skrillex.
All right.
Then, like fly fishing, just.
All this whiplash damage.
That's funny. All right. So how many feet do you have?
It does not say how much rope comes with a climbing harness, so I'm sure there's a limit.
Well, if you had 50 meters of it, it'd be like 160 feet.
Right.
That would be fine if that's what you, unless you think it should be more.
No, I wouldn't imagine it would be
Okay.
much more than that. So we'll tie it around Skrillex and begin to lower him down.
Yeah. You can feel the
hoping there are
rope.
no spunkosauri down there.
You can feel the rope like sway a little bit. The Skrillex, you're just headed down into the mist along the rocks, along the side of this plateau. Give me a notice roll.
7.
Okay. Below you, you can faintly hear someone's voice. Like, it sounds tired, like they're just like, they sound out of breath.
Are they actually talking? Is it in a language I would recognize, even if I don't quite make out what they're saying?
No, it's not. You don't recognize it.
So I would call out, "Hello? Is someone there?"
You hear, "Hello?
Yeah, hello?
Hello?
Who are you?
I'm Robella.
What are you doing down here?
I'm climbing, trying to get to the top."
Are Are you from the what were the different tribes called?
There were the Cutters,
Right.
the Berserkers, and the Mongrels.
Okay. Are you a cutter? Berserker? Perhaps mongrel?
No, I'm unfamiliar with. I'm unfamiliar with all of them.
Are you from our camp?
No, I'm an Arquin of Bekbar.
What's that? What's a Bekbar?
He is who I serve.
And what the heck is an Arquin?
A loyal follower, a knight.
So, look, I don't know who you are, but me and my friends, we're trapped here in this mist. We came in a vehicle and everything's kind of shut down. You know what's going on here?
Ask her if she's heard the good news about Jagger Fels.
I know this is a horrible place. Is it better up top? The voices have finally ended. I don't hear the wailing and screaming anymore.
What wailing? What screaming?
Down below, in the water, there's wailing and screaming.
There's water down there?
Yes, but I wouldn't drink it.
Oh, heck no. And I would pull on the rope because I imagine Krieg is still kind of lowering it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would yank on it, hoping that Krieg understands. We didn't discuss it beforehand, though. So
I don't know if Krieg would be able to tell whether like something just like snatched you because you're so light, or if
Right.
like you're just like jumping around.
Right, or he's just, bouncing off the rock wall.
Hitting every rock on the way down.
Don't.
How did you get down here?
Well, my friend is kind of lowering me. I'm hoping that he realizes to raise me up so he doesn't dunk me in the drink.
Oh, it's quite a ways down.
I got an 8 on my notice check, so I'll start to pull him up. But like super fast, because I wasn't expecting him to even request to come back up.
Right. So as it's happening, he's like, Scroix would be like, "All right, well, I'm on my way up. See you."
Hitting every rock on the way up.
Don't. So I come up a bit bruised and battered.
So,
is everything okay?
What was at the bottom?
Well, I didn't get there to see, but apparently there's water full of voices and wailing, but also there's somebody climbing up.
Someone from our camp?
No. And no one from one of the tribes that we talked to. It's someone claiming to be an Arquin of Bekbar, whatever those things are. Apparently Bekbar is some person that this other person follows.
And how did he get down there then?
I don't know. But they're climbing up.
How long do you think it'll take them to climb up?
They sounded pretty out of breath.
We could lower them a rope and then, follow our standing orders and kill them at the top.
Well, let's hold off on the killing until we know that they're useful. And if they're not, then yeah, we'll just push them back down.
And I don't completely understand how there'd be wailing coming from water, but you didn't see the water, right?
Oh, heck no. I wasn't waiting around to find out. I know my skin and stuff is kind of frog-like from what you guys described frogs being, but I don't do well in the water.
Well, if we are able to bring them up, perhaps we can convert them from the Zebek bar guy to the glory of Jagger Fels.
Maybe let's get out of the mist first before we start proselytizing.
She will join us or die.
So Skrillex untangles himself from the climbing gear. And if people are inclined to lower the rope and bring this person up, he'll point out the direction that he heard the voice coming from.
Okay.
Yeah, I will yell down, "We're lowering a rope to you."
All right. You feel there's a pull on it.
And I'll start to haul her up.
Okay. It takes a little bit, and then emerging out from the rope out of the mist, you see looks like a female with sharp, pointy ears, dripping with sweat. She is wearing some kind of armor, but it's long rusted, like pieces of it, chunks are falling off of it. And she just, with all of her effort, just kind of like holds onto the rope and then grasps the side of the plateau and just like collapses onto the ground, like exhausted.
Zavir will run up or will like saunter up to her and see if she's has cuts or bruises and start tending to her.
Yeah, she's certainly got bruises, no obvious like no major cuts or anything, just like what you would expect from somebody who just was trying to climb the side of the sheer wall. Like her hands are all bloody and knuckles and stuff like that.
So I will heal, apply any sort of healing to her hands and all that.
All right. She kind of comes to.
I will retract my rope.
Oh, thank you. I'm in your debt.
So how did you get down there?
I was banished from my world, from my home.
Where is your
right?
world?
But how did you get down into the ravine? Did you just fall in?
No, that's where I was banished to.
That is a very specific banishment, to banish you to this world and to the top of a plateau and into a ravine that is at the top of the plateau.
Yes.
And you said that there's just water down there?
It's wailing, screaming, wailing. It's agonizing. I can still hear the echoes in my mind.
Still, might be able to make some use of the water if we can get word back to General Marquardt. Is it flowing, or is it just a stagnant pool?
No, it is not stagnant. It's definitely flowing. It's very murky, though.
There's some sort of purification may be needed. What's doing the wailing?
I don't know the source of it. Do you have priests that can sort of purify the water?
I mean, no, I don't know what good priests would be in purifying water, but we have water purifiers.
Greek here is as close to a priest as one will get.
Oh.
I am Zavir. It is a pleasure to meet you.
Yes,
and I'm the little guy you were talking to down there. I'm Skrillex.
Oh, you're a pixie.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
No pixie I've ever seen.
Not a pixie.
Yes, it is a Skrillex, whatever a Skrillex creature is.
So how did you come to be banished here?
No, we're not banished. We have a settlement nearby.
Oh, you live here.
So there are many
Yes,
who
for
live in
the
this.
for the moment.
There are many who live here. Although we have heard similar things from others about what was it misty down there?
In some parts, but not completely. It really picked up when I began my ascent.
You
How
said you were
far down
banished. Oh,
is the
sorry, go ahead.
water?
What
How far down is the water?
long ways.
You said you were banished. What do you get banished for? You're not a murderer or anything.
No, where I'm from, you worship the wrong gods, you become banished. That's what our ape overlords tell us.
Who is your god?
Bekbar, of course. She points to like the symbol that would be on her armor, but it's all rusted and you can't tell.
What is a Bekbar?
He is a god. He is the god of the Forsaken.
Of the Forsaken?
Mm-hmm.
And when you say ape overlords,
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean?
Like apes, like creatures, humanoids.
Like you mean the animal?
Yes, animal.
And your civilization is ruled over by apes.
A fair portion of it is, yes.
Are we aware? Are there apes in Stars Without Number? Would that be something we'd be familiar with, or would that be? Are they something we've not encountered?
That's something you've never encountered.
So
So
Xavier
I
becomes
would
concerned.
I would then turn and say, yeah. So she was banished here by her ape overlords.
I think should not be too hard on the girl. She just climbed a however many meter cliff and clearly was stuck down there for a long time just based on her armor. She could be not in it or with it at the moment.
Well, I mean, also, religious persecution is pretty stupid reason to be exiled. Who cares what a person believes in as long as they're not, like, killing people or, stealing from them or, all the social contracts type stuff that separate us from the animals.
Well,
I'll
as
turn-
long as
I
they
would turn-
believe in Jagger Fels, it is okay.
Right. But I will turn back to her and say, do you happen to know how long is this ravine?
You mean back down?
No, I mean side to side. How long would it take us to go around it? Or is there a place you know of where we can cross it?
I know of no place to cross. If you were trying to you would have to go all the way to the bottom and cross the water if you were to go to the other side.
Right. So assuming we have to go around it, how long is it?
I don't know. I traveled for days.
You traveled for days up or side to side?
Through the water and along the bottom until I found a place that I could adequately climb.
And which direction did you come from?
She points in a direction like to the south.
I mean, I can't imagine this ravine bisects the whole plateau, and somehow that was never noticed. But if there's flowing water in the bottom, maybe it does.
Where's your camp?
It's on the far side of this ravine.
We have run into some other camps on this side, but they're trying to get back to ours.
Well, she already tried south and was walking for a long distance. I would suggest we try walking north.
That makes sense.
Yes. I'm afraid we'll never get home.
I know the feeling.
Stranded. With Kevin, of all people.
He's not here.
I assume, is he somewhere? Oh, is he somewhere?
He
Uh,
didn't leave with us.
Yeah, Dr. Henry and Kevin were supposed to come on the next trip
Oh,
over.
that's right.
There's always the catapult.
That's right. If you really want to get back.
I forgot about the catapult.
I mean, the other guy survived being catapulted across the ravine. What was his name? Splooge?
Spunk, you named the meat after him. And Smutty is the leader of the Cutters.
Well, the catapult may be our best bet. It's the surefire way to get across.
I would like to explore the walking a bit option before we go to full on catapulting ourselves back.
That's fair.
I mean, if we're gonna catapult ourselves, I'm pretty sure I can survive. My kind, falling doesn't really bother us too much. We're much lighter than you guys, so it's law of squares and all that. But problem is, even if we use the catapult just for me, I wouldn't know how to find you guys again. Not to mention, technology doesn't really do well here, so I don't even know how to address this.
Right. Well, obviously, so there'd be a couple of things. One is it would be good to warn the people in the settlement that there is this field that interferes with electronics. But the only way to really pick us up for sure, if we don't all catapult ourselves over, would be for us to leave the field, maybe stand near the catapult, and then have them send a ship up into orbit and over to avoid, or if needs be, the opposite way around the planet to avoid the cloud. And then pick us up on the other side.
That could work.
Although, if we can just walk there ourselves, that would be even better. So I start walking north.
Okay, out of the mist.
No, she said she came. Does the ravine extend out of the mist?
Like, what do you mean?
So she said she had been walking along the ravine for a while, and she came from the south.
Yep.
So the ravine must run south. So I assume it also runs north.
Mm-hmm.
But we've only seen the ravine, a portion of the ravine in the mist.
Mm-hmm.
Does the ravine at some point exit the mist, and so is in a mist-free area?
If it does, you can't tell because you're in the mist.
Okay. Well, I go north. If that's out of the mist, then I go out of the mist. But I'm following the ravine.
Okay, so you're following the edge of. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. All right.
Well, hey, wait. I can't walk. Someone help.
Xavier will pick you up and then put you on her shoulder.
Thanks, Xavier.
It is my pleasure. You can be my eyes or my second set of eyes.
Robella
right.
just sighs as she sees the fact there's more walking involved, but then again, she's been climbing, so. And she follows behind you.
I am going to try to find, like, is there like a large rock nearby?
Sure.
Like, not unmovably large, but
Yes, there's a large rock.
something I can lift up. Good. I'm going to throw that over the side and listen for a splash. Or possibly an owl from whoever is wailing below.
Okay. You wait a long time and hear a faint noise. If you want to make some kind of check to discern how long you think it is to the bottom, you can.
Let's see. Eh. Well, I guess it would be, of all of these skills, probably a no check, but I'm not very good at those. Oh, got an 11.
It's very, you hear a noise, very, very faint. It's hard to tell whether it was splashing or whatever, but there is a noise that comes back. At least 500 meters away. It's at least 500 meters now.
And how tall was the plateau we're on?
The one that you guys used to be, the one the camp is on.
Yeah. We're
The
still
one-
on that same plateau, aren't we? Or are we on a different plateau now?
If you want to make a check, you can.
What check would that be?
No, or some other skill that would make sense.
Could I do
Survival?
notice? Oh, I got
Notice?
survival. Survival's fine. 8.
Okay. So the plateau that you are on, that the camp is on, is approximately like 900 meters tall.
So it could just be, I mean, it makes sense that the bottom of that ravine would be the bottom of the plateau, given that there's running water in there.
Yeah.
It's just odd to have a ravine or to have a plateau with like that deep a ravine running through it.
And you would guess that probably you're on a separate plateau.
Oh, so even if we cross the ravine, we can't get home. We've been working on the theory that we could just drive home by driving through the mist. And then we'd be like right near our settlements, we'd just drive to the settlement. But if it's on a different plateau, then that's not going to happen. We were trapped the whole time then and just didn't realize it.
We thought that there, because we flew the ship over, like, because we had to fly the ship over, so there was like stuff to get us over, and that's why we just needed to drive over in the first place, I guess.
But we drove up to the mist before,
and there was like
Spunk in it for a second to show him that he wouldn't die if he touched it.
Correct.
And there was like a drop off there. And that's
right.
Basically we stopped, and then we flew over that drop off.
Right. But so, at least when we were driving back, my thinking was we would drive through the mist and then drive out the other side of the mist and then drive back to the settlement, because I was imagining it was all one plateau. Because otherwise there was always going to be a 900-meter drop so that we could drive across to the correct plateau. and then a 900-meter climb to get back to our settlement.
Yeah, I guess I thought that I guess I thought that we were on a separate plateau, but that if we were to drive back, there would be some similar to how there was a way to get down and up on the other side, that there would be some way to get down. Like if we followed this long enough, we'd find a road that would lead to the bottom, and then another way to get across to lead back up.
I mean, there's theory there still could be. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I hadn't thought it through that much, but my thinking was if we were on the side of the mist where our settlement was, that we drove from the settlement to the mist before so that we could walk from the mist back to the settlement or drive from the mist back to the settlement the same way we did last time. But that may not actually be a thing.
You're talking about where the berserker, where those guys are, those settlements, or are you talking about your
our settlement
Okay.
with
Okay.
Marquardt.
Okay.
Because the whole idea to go back and report in may be ill-advised. I now realize.
Well, we could keep driving, or we could keep seeing if we can find a way down. But it seems that it will be not an easy feat to get back.
Well, we have to get back eventually. I mean,
Alright.
it also means that if we catapulted across the ravine, we'd just be screwed on the wrong side of the ravine. We wouldn't even be able to get back to this side with the 3 tribes. Because there's no catapult on the far side.
You could build one.
We could order someone to build one. It's not like they have a ship anymore, since we had the only ship on the planet that visited once a year. So if we were to get across, we'd have to order the building of a similar device.
But now I'm concerned if we were if we catapulted ourselves to the other side of the ravine, is it even a walkable distance? Is it a proposition that we could get to our settlement to order the construction of a catapult? I mean, actually, I would probably say, hey, let's not build a catapult. Let's build like a bridge. Because catapult is a silly idea. We're going to want to come back and forth a little more easily than that. Like one of those like bridges that can extend out, like a temporary portable bridge that you could extend out and then retract.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my ideas for technology come from G.I. Joe, where they had a vehicle that would lay out bridges.
They actually have
Robella
that one.
Robella has taken a seat as you're having this discussion because she's tired.
So, assuming we were on the other side of the ravine right now, what distance would it be to get back to our settlement? Because we sort of flew here by ship. I was imagining it was like 20 kilometers or something like that. But now I'm less certain. It might be like 1,000 kilometers.
I don't think it was that far. I'm trying to think of how far you drove out to the first time. It wasn't that far.
It was like we got to the canyon, I think, within the day. Like,
Yeah.
Granted, I don't know what that means in terms of how fast we were going. And
right.
Driving
but like
around
we have to be now concerned. Like, I even have to see what I have for like rations and water. I have 1 day. No, I have 5 days of rations. I don't remember there being any water sources.
We might have to go back.
Except maybe for the screaming water.
We might have to go back and get more supplies from that village we went to.
Right.
There must be some sort of water. Either that or they do not subsist. These people do not subsist on water, or they have some sort of other thing, liquid that they imbibe. How are
So,
you? How
To
were
reach
you?
the canyon, you drove about 2 hours at a safe speed.
That's not so bad. So I guess the question is, it's sort of like me as a character versus me as a player. Me as a player does not expect to find a way to cross this ravine. I don't believe it's intended for us to get back. But me as a character would think, hey, this ravine's got to end somewhere. Or maybe we'll find like a narrow portion that would be relatively easier for us to find a way across.
You would guess it's like from if you're on your plateau to where you met Spunk is like 50 miles.
So I could survive that. I'm guessing Skrillex could survive that. Because I have 5 days of food and water on me.
Yeah, I would only need a fraction of that.
I have 7 days of rations.
So we could probably do 50 miles then. And I, for one, am glad that Kevin's not here so we don't have to pretend like we all use kilometers. Among other reasons, I'm glad Kevin is not here.
All right, so what's the plan?
So I would still, because this is what my character would do, would still continue walking north looking for either a narrowing of this ravine or some evidence that it's going to end somewhere.
So yeah, so as you are walking like northeast along the ravine where the edge is in the mist, you would probably travel about 10 kilometers or 6 miles,
There you go.
6.2 miles. It would be about 6 or 7 miles, and then you come to like a sheer wall that goes up, and then like the end, like there's nothing beyond that wall. It's just the ravine continues. You cannot continue. If you were to continue walking, you would be going more north along the sheer wall.
But the ravine ends there?
The ravine continues, you can see.
So it's just like the ravine is here and there's just like a wall here and we're walking into the wall now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this isn't good news.
No,
We
this
wasted
is-
like half a day walking this. Now what?
I mean, 6.2 miles. That's even at a leisurely pace, 2 hours. So, maybe not half a day. But this is like MMO rules. There's just like a wall. It's somehow higher than the plateau. So we should probably walk along the wall until we can find a way around whatever this rock formation is and get back to the ravine.
And we're still in the fog with all of this?
You're still in the fog right now.
And we haven't heard any like creatures or any evidence of other things in here, have we?
Nope.
So if the ravine's on our right and then we have the wall in front of us, then we would be going to our left
Yeah, you'd be going like northwest.
to try to get back around.
Yeah, like along the wall.
Yeah. Okay.
So how far across is the ravine? Can we see the other side?
No,
Let me see something.
I see. I see the wheels turning.
If we can salvage enough parts to craft our own spaceship, our own vehicle of flight to go over, we can get back home. We can get back to camp that way. Though we'll have to go back and take on those mongrels, or hopefully find
Yeah.
something better than cast iron.
Crafting a spaceship from the burnt remains of the crashed one isn't necessarily in my skill set.
I mean, through scavenging materials.
Yeah, but Zavir, then you still run into the problem that this mist seems to kill electronics and technology.
If we can get something that gets us off this planet, then we can circumvent the mist.
Have you ever built a rocket ship?
No.
So it's.
Have you?
I've studied, the engineering behind them.
Perfect.
But we don't even if we were to go back to the crash site, we're not going to be able to salvage what we need to make anything that would be able to lift off, let alone be solid to protect us from the vacuum of the upper atmosphere, let alone space. Maybe, how much rope do you have there, Krieg?
50 meters.
Does anyone think that this ravine is bigger than 50 meters across?
That's the thing, we don't actually know. Although I was sort of thinking, and the rules are actually kind of vague on this. I could very easily telekinetically move Skrillex across the ravine, because the telekinetic manipulation thing doesn't say that I have to see what I'm moving. Just that I have to concentrate on it. And I could do 200 kilograms worth of weight at a time. So I could send you with the rope across the ravine. I don't know that there's anything to tie it off to on the other side, though.
Does the climbing kit include like pitons or whatever?
Yes.
Well, maybe I could just like find some solid rock and
I don't know that I, as a player, trust Skrillex to use enough force to drive that piton in to hold my weight.
Right.
To hold his own weight, sure. Just need a paperclip and some dirt.
Well, maybe I could at least tie it to something.
Right. I mean, I guess it doesn't really say also, this is a modified version of the climbing harness. So it doesn't say whether or not this is like a manually driven piton or some sort of mechanically driven piton. Hopefully not electronically driven piton. So, but yeah, we could try to feed the rope across the ravine and in some way create our own sort of temporary bridge to climb across.
Well, I'm up for it.
Okay, well, I hate to suggest this then, but we should probably walk the 2 hours back. If we're going to do this, we might as well do it near the vehicle.
Well, we don't necessarily know if the ravine remains constantly, the width remains constant. So we might as well try it here first, because we might not even be able to reach the other side with the amount of rope we have.
That's fair.
Believe me, I want nothing more than to go back to my sweet, sweet exoskeleton. My mech. Oh, my mech. But we need to be logical here. We need to get out of this mist. I want my mech to be something I can use other than a sarcophagus.
What was the person's name that we met?
Robella.
Robella. Do you know how long you were walking at the bottom of that ravine there?
Days.
3 days? 10 days?
No, the days just seem to run together here. I couldn't tell you. There's no light or dark.
Did your armor there is all rusted? Was it rusted when you were banished?
No, from the water.
Gotcha. Your mech should be okay.
What do you mean severe?
I was wondering if this mist had some long-standing effect on metal, given Robella's chest plate, but unless your mech takes a drink, it shouldn't be rusted by the time we get back to it,
I hope not.
because that would be most unfortunate.
Yeah, it really would be.
So this is something I would know, but I don't know mechanically how you want to handle this, Peter. When I am using my sort of base level telekinesis skill to move a person,
Mm-hmm.
Do I have to see them? And if I don't, is there some possibility that I like drop them?
Well, you would see him to start, right? And eventually he would go out of
Right.
sight. So I would say that you wouldn't, I mean, you could start, and then as far, the further out you go, you would probably need to make subsequent checks to continue to hold that link. Because there is no actual description about distance, right?
No. Well, I to start with, I definitely do need to see what I'm manipulating. I can't, or I have to be in tactile contact with the
Right.
object. It's after it leaves my line of sight that
Yeah, I would say
it's
that's fine,
unclear.
because you would have like, because you would see him in the beginning and send him out. And then the further out he gets, you would just make subsequent harder checks depending on how far it goes.
Right. So the good news is this uses my abs, which is my best physical
Exactly.
attribute, and I have +1 in the skill. So I have a good chance of doing this. The bad news is it's not 100% sure that I'm not just going to drop you into the ravine.
So Skrillex would prefer that the rope be tied to him, or that at least he's holding it in some way.
Is the rope like a thick rope, or is it like a 10-millimeter rope
I would
that it
assume
can be
it's
tied to him?
right. I would assume it's actually like a like a modern day sort of nylon climbing rope,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean technically it's tech level 4,
Mm-hmm.
but it is it's definitely not like the 1-inch thick hemp rope from D&D.
Yeah.
And I
So-
imagine it's like on a, it could be, it's like on a retractable spool. But yeah, tying it to yourself would be a smart move. There still could be a little bit of a bump at the end if you swing into the side of the
Yeah.
ravine.
That can't be helped, but it's better to swing into the side of the ravine than to drop into the drink, not have a way out, and drown
Mhm.
like a bug in a pitcher plant. Which is actually a common danger for Skrillex's people.
He escaped his pitcher plant overlords to be here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll unspool my rope again. Let Skrillex tie himself to it. And then get reasonably close to the edge, like within 5 feet or so.
Okay.
And then levitate him up and start pushing him through the mist across.
All right. Okay, you're just moving out into the mist. All right. Go ahead and make your first check.
Ten.
No problem. You are maintaining. So it's 50-foot rope, right?
50 meters.
50 meters. Okay. 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 So half, about 25 meters in, no problem. You are maintaining that connection. It continues and continues and continues. And it's almost at the end. If you want to make another check.
14.
Yeah, no problem. You are at 50 meters. Skrillex, you are just levitating out there.
Do I see the edge?
No, you do not.
Okay. So I will yank on the rope.
Yeah, I assume I realize when it reaches the end. But when I feel the yank, I'll reel him back in.
So when Skrillex gets back, he said, "Yeah, the wherever the other side is, it's longer than the rope we got."
Well, we'll have to move. Let's move in the direction back towards the vehicle, and we could periodically try every kilometer or so, and hope we find a narrower spot.
That sounds like a plan.
So move a kilometer back towards our vehicle and the mech, and try
Okay.
again.
All right.
Got to fail this check sometime. Not this time though. 13.
Okay, no problem. All right. Go ahead. One more check.
12.
Again, you reach the end of the rope. You do not see anything.
Pull them in again.
All right.
And move another kilometer. 5 more kilometers to go.
All right.
No, 10 kilometers. 8 more kilometers go because it was 6 to 7 miles.
Yeah, you're right. So I got an 11.
All right.
And I got a 10.
So Skrillex, as you are out here at the as it extends, you see what looks to be like 30 feet in front of you, like 10 meters, like a small patch, which you would assume would be the other side, like that jetties out.
Okay. So this time when Krieg pulls me in, Skrillex is a little bit more excited. He says, guys, we're getting closer. It was still too far, but I could at least see the edge.
So I guess it's getting narrower. How far should we move before we try again? Just go the full kilometer or less than that?
Did we notice as we're walking along the ravine, do we notice the side changing at all? Like, is it like flat? Is this particular part like, does it jut out a little bit more?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, it juts out a little bit more than the normal walking
I am maybe, maybe like 500 meters or
Sounds
so.
good to me. So we break this up into even smaller increments now. Only like 20, 40 more checks to go.
Um, if you want to roll, you can. I'm not going to make you roll. When you roll this time and send him out there, he doesn't see the edge.
So do we go back 250 meters, cut the distance?
Krieg, how do your powers work? Would we be able to just? Could you float me out there and we just kind of walk along? Will you float me out there?
We could do that, although that would probably require a lot of concentration on my part. It is inevitable that at some point my hold over you would break or slip. At some point. I don't know how long it would take for that to happen.
Well, unless anyone's got any better ideas. Seems like we're just basically playing a big game of Battleship right now.
So I'm going to float him out there and hold him out there and then start walking back away from the vehicle again so we can figure out if any point along the far edge comes within range of him.
All right. Give me a check.
What sort of check?
The same one you've been doing.
Telekinesis. 9.
It's difficult, but you manage to do that. You realize that one point that you had is the closest point that you have found.
It seems that the canyon juts out a little bit here. Perhaps this is an old remnants of an old crossing a long, long time ago that has since fallen into decay or erosion.
You know, there's something we haven't really talked about. It's going to get dark soon, and what little visibility we have is going to just completely go away. I think we should get back to the vehicle, so at least that way we have some sort of shelter while we very likely have to camp out here for the night.
Well, where you guys are, there's no sunrise or sunset. It's the constant, like,
Twilight.
dusk. Yeah.
Oh, the planet's tidally locked.
Well, it just due to the conditions.
Oh.
But I mean, in the mist, there's no telling. I mean, it could get darker or lighter. We don't.
Well, if there's not a normal day-night cycle, then
Right.
I just want to assume that to be the case. Never mind then.
So I think we just keep going kilometer by kilometer till we make our way back to the vehicle, trying every kilometer or so.
Yeah. You realize that point is the closest.
Perhaps we can see if we can
I
find.
just say catapult, catapult, catapult.
Perhaps we could find more rope. We can see if if that settlement that that village we went to has any sort of any rope or things we can use to fasten a 30-meter extension.
I don't even think we need that much. It seemed like it was only 10 meters.
Oh,
Yeah, but you're going to want to have a little room to figure out if you need to find something away from the edge to tie it off to.
no.
Yeah, that's fair. So, yeah, I hate to say it, but I think Zavir's right. I think we should go back.
So how long have we been awake now?
asks Krieg, whose eyes are bloodshot.
What, 10 hours? 12?
So I would think, even though it doesn't necessarily get dark, we still may want to rest in the vehicle, as there's all sorts of craziness outside of the mist, but the primitives are afraid of the mist.
You know, we can use this if we choose to make camp in mist. We can use this to our advantage. Maybe call ourselves children of the mist, and come out of the mist and do our stuff, and then go back in. No one will follow us.
Makes sense to me.
Okay.
Great. The mist will be our new base of operations.
All right, so you're going
We
to
may
rest?
be able to salvage enough metal from the crash ship to just start our own community here in the mist.
So you're going to take a rest in the vehicle in the mist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Robella takes a spot next to the vehicle because she's not sure what she thinks about the fact that there's some sort of crazed golem in this iron chariot.
Crazed golem.
His mech, like she's not sure if it might come to life or something.
Does she say anything about it, or does she just like silently kind of just
Yeah, as you guys are
refuse to
going
come?
around the vehicle, she kind of notices it and walks away from it.
Is everything okay? This is our vehicle.
It is strange.
Do they not have these in your homeworld?
Yeah, but not like this. What do you have to pull it?
It is pulls itself. There is a mechanical device that allows it to move. Skrillex can tell you all about it. That is his gem. This is thing he built.
Gnomish technology, then.
No, I'm a Zenlin. I don't know what you're talking about with these pixies and gnomes, but no.
You call me elf one more time.
Why do you have a golem? Is that your...
What's a golem?
She points to your mech.
No, that's a mech. I
Gollum
ride
was a
it and
character-
pilot it.
Gollum was a character in an ancient book series, Corrupted by a Ring.
Well, that thing's not named Gollum then. That's my mech.
What?
I never actually named her. Maybe I should think of a name.
Yeah, now that she's dead.
Hey, temporarily.
I think I will rest outside near the vehicle.
Suit yourself if that is where you feel safest. We are now children of the mist, and the mist is our new home. At least until we get out of here.
She doesn't really catch that because as soon as she lays down, she falls asleep.
Since we are, I mean, I don't know where she's sleeping, but since we are here anyway, we might as well roll the windows down, put it in neutral again, and roll it back from the edge of the ravine.
Okay.
And then put the parking brake on in case this Robella, the Arbor Day of Backstar, decides to push us into the ravine while we sleep.
Blasphemers, die.
we can't assume that we're the only people who have our standing order in place. She may well have the same order.
Hmm.
You can never be too careful. This is the wisdom of Jagger Fels.
All right, so everybody, if you are resting, going to sleep here, everybody give me a mental save.
Oh boy.
I fail.
Oh boy.
Succeed.
Xavier also fails.
So, Strelix, you have a very peaceful rest. Zafir and Krieg, you are haunted, or you have very stressful sleep, waking up frequently. If you can describe what that is like, or what you are troubled by, or what keeps waking you, or
Is it like something keeps waking you up, like an
Could be.
external force, or is it like you wake up and you can't fall back asleep?
yeah, like stressful dreams, or just a sense of dread, or illumination boy. You think he's next to you, and you wake up, he's not.
Well, that's always Xavier's worry.
Okay.
Yeah, I would think I just keep having dreams of her pushing our vehicle into the ravine.
Right.
And then even worse, like the nightmare then shifts over to Kevin safe and warm back in the settlement we can't get back to.
Yep. Yeah, he's in your bed doing whatnot, live streaming it.
Krieg is gonna love this. Xavier wakes up from time to time out of breath, feeling like she gets hit in the chest as she plays over, and as like a reoccurring. Every time she falls back asleep, she is falling asleep right into waking up right into getting hit in the chest by that giant tail of the Spunkosaurus.
Okay. Yep.
So she keeps waking up because she's having a reoccurring nightmare with that.
Okay, that would make sense. I would assume you guys aren't fully healed. You probably.
I didn't lose any hit points in the last
Okay.
session.
I lost 2,
I had 3 missing.
and I picked up a level system strain.
Or you know what? I probably did take damage, but I think Xavier
You got
might have
healed.
me.
Zafir and Krieg, give me a D4 roll. On a 1 or a 2, you get HP back. 3, 4, you no HP back.
I got a 1.
Okay, you do manage to get 1 hit point back.
And is the 3 or 4 you get nothing back?
Correct.
How long does system strain last?
Usually you get like 1 back when you rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do we get? I had 2 system strain. Do I get one? Do it? None of those get removed.
I would say no from what you had to endure with your rest.
Okay.
What did you get on your D4?
4.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You have a very rough night.
So there is no morning, but Xavier stirs for the final time. As after the last night, after the last tail whip to the chest, she just doesn't try to fall back asleep again. So she will be waiting around till everyone else kind of wakes up, and might like take a walk around the vehicle, never losing sight of out of sight of it, but just to kind of stretch the legs and
Mhm.
get adjusted to her new life in the mist.
Robella has like collected some rocks and drawn some symbols on the ground, and she's just kind of sitting there meditating.
Curiously, I would go over and just kind of try to peek at the symbols, um, not saying anything, trying not to disturb her from her meditation.
All right. So the rest of you are up, and what is the plan for this day?
Well, we haven't tried feeding the rope across the south.
Like going all along this whole ravine? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
I don't know, Krieg. I mean, I'm starting to think that this ravine is just it. We're not going to find anything close enough to cross it. And
That's
like you
quitter
said,
talk.
what?
So that's quitter talk.
Yeah, but like you said, even if it is close enough for you to get me across, we might not have enough slack to be able to actually create any kind of rope bridge or anything like that. I think maybe our best bet is to just go back and talk to those people.
Zafir would not seeing that people would stir or hearing kind of rustling coming from inside the vehicle. She'd come in and kind of pipe in. Yes, I think we found a point that is as close as we can. I don't see why it would be not. I don't see why it would be a unreasonable task to find a, another extension to this for the 10 meters or whatever we need.
All right, then we go back into the primitive infested wilderness. Although
I don't
how
like it any more
far
than
is
you,
it?
Krieg, but
How far is it to like the what were they called? The one we had an agreement with?
The cutters.
Yeah, because your map has like 100 meter scale, but I don't know exactly where we are. And
You guys are about. You guys are probably, if you were to go straight, like you are 10 kilometers from the crash site,
right, so
and
we'll
then from there
probably
it was
like
10. And from there it was 10 kilometers to their camp. But if you were to go straight to their camp, it's probably like 12 to 15 kilometers.
probably how I would go then.
Mm-hmm.
All right, headed back to the cutters camp.
Yep.
Okay. So it's probably be like 9 miles. So give me a D12 roll.
all of us.
Just one.
I can.
All right, I got a 5.
Okay. The first, like the first 5K pass, there's nothing. It's just brown dirt and rocks out here. You don't notice anything. Robella's like, how far is this place? Are they hostile?
Some of them are.
Mostly weird.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm riding my unicycle.
That's correct. You have
can
the unicycle.
walk like
Yep.
chumps.
Yep. You're on the unicycle.
There are some. There are. There is a village we encountered, with people who are nice, and non and friendly. However, there is a we did encounter some bandits wearing dog masks made of porcelain, and they were not they were hostile. They belong to some faction called the Porcelain Prince or something. This side of the ravine is wholly unfamiliar to us. You'll probably be just as much in the know as we are.
Well, it is a relief to be out of the water and not to hear the yelling and wailing anymore. It's eerily silent here. All right, next up, we need a D12 roll.
Got it. 9.
Again, the next 5K passes with no issue. Krieg is enjoying his self-propelling unicycle. Just 0 effort.
Xavier is starting to get a little jealous of the unicycle. And the fact that it just seems to be a much nicer way to travel.
I mean, if we veered off towards where the crash site was, there's probably other bicycles still laying around, including tandem bikes. Although that assumes that the dog-faced guys didn't come and take them.
Weren't they all made of cast iron?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably want, because Xavier is not totally certain if she wants to ride a cast iron bike.
All right, Kurt, D12 roll.
1.
So you begin to approach the Cutter's camp with the broken bicycles and occasional mongrel porcelain masks propped on pieces of the bikes. You can see that there's a fire in the distance, and some tents, and a few guards, and there's a fence. And the guards see you approach, and they start to draw their weapons, specifically aimed at Krieg, who is on a unicycle.
They wouldn't dare.
We have been here before. We come in. We mean no harm.
They begin to approach very slowly, wearing with their masks.
What kind of masks are they wearing?
These are the guys that wear the Cutters. Yeah, these masks.
Do we remember what the name? What was the name of their leader?
Smutty.
That's right. Can we go in and talk to Smutty?
Why? All we need to do is find someone who sells rope.
Where's your vehicle? Have you joined? You've joined the mongrels. So you've got one of their bikes.
This is a bike from one of the mongrels we killed. It amuses me to ride their mode of transportation.
Our vehicle is lost.
Temporarily.
We'll let you in then. They open the gate. Everybody looks. Are you still riding a unicycle inside the camp?
I would get off it inside the camp.
Okay.
We're not mongrels here.
Smutty comes up to you. You can tell it's him because his porcelain mask is the one with the most flair.
Like, I would throw the unicycle into like the pile of broken bikes. Like, maybe drag one of the broken bikes over top of it so that it just looks like more detritus and I can get it back later.
Yep. Unless you're being watched. Oh, you've returned. Excellent. What did you find out about the porcelain prince and the bridge?
We got stuck.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, we went into the mist, and then
Oh,
our vehicle broke down, and my mech doesn't work anymore.
missed. Why are
Yes.
you?
It's not all that's bad, but you wouldn't happen to have some rope we could purchase.
How much?
About 10 meters. But if you have more,
Again,
we would not object to it.
I want to go all the way back, and then Skrillex barely makes it to the other side.
Well, it was 30 feet. But if you have maybe-
Although now we have to go back and then figure out how far north of the vehicle that spot was, that one special spot.
well, we do know that at that spot on our side of the ravine, it kind of jutted out a little bit
Mhm.
compared to the rest. So we just have to find the spot that is not kind of flat in that piece. In that sense.
So yeah, maybe I think we would prefer more than 10 meters, but
Fair.
at least 10 meters, and then we can go rescue our vehicle, and we can go and plan the assault on this porcelain prince of yours.
Give me a talk roll.
7.
I will give you 25 meters of rope.
Excellent.
Will you come by here? Have you spoken to you have not spoken to the berserkers yet?
No, not yet. But we will come back after we've scouted the bridge and spoken with them.
Yes. We cannot delay. The porcelain prince will only be down here for only a little bit longer before he leaves and goes north.
We will not tarry any more than we need to.
Then I will prepare the warring party.
Of course.
Excellent.
And one of his servants comes over and hands you 25 meters of rope and a nice ceramic blue plate with some like skinned looking rats on it and some water. Like in an urn.
Does the water look clean?
For the most part. I mean, it's not brown water.
From I am curious. From it is very dusty and dry here. From where do you get to this water?
We collect it from the rains that come.
How often does it rain here?
Not enough, but we must be prepared when it does. It's very sporadic. It's been less and less. I believe it's because of the porcelain prince.
Oh,
He is probably taking most of the rain north to his fields and leaving us with the barren ground.
Let someone take rain.
Because he has that kind of power in the seat that he holds.
Like he's got a magic throne.
Robella perks up when she hears this. You could say some sort of powers that, yes. I believe it's the palace. Power to control the weather.
Does it? Has the porcelain prince always had this power?
I would assume that as soon as he's taken control of the palace, he did.
So did your people once control this power to alter the weather?
I don't know if we did. But we did not have this issue like we have now, and with this such barren ground.
When it rains here, now that it is all barren, does it flood?
It will, yes.
I guess we will need to be on our guard then. If it floods, it could be dangerous.
Yes, very well.
We should be off, as we don't want to waste any time.
Yes, we don't have much time. The Porcelain Prince will be moving north, and then it will be much harder to remove him.
Right. When we're out, I would just say, Rubella, this is pretty much the height of civilization here, so this is your best bet.
For what?
For what? I don't know what you're going to do, but if you want to either try to make your way off this world or try to make a life here, this is your best bet.
Where are you headed?
Back to the ravine.
To go across?
That's the hope.
But I would assume where you are is better than this.
Yes, but that is for our people. You seem like you fit in with these people more than you would with ours.
They're kind of creepy with those masks.
It does make me feel slightly uncomfortable. But Krieg is right. You seem to be closer aligned to this level of this sort of culture compared to ours, which is more different.
Rubella, these guys, they're trying to be nice, but the truth is we are maxed out on capacity. There's no room at the inn. We're barely feeding the people we got as it is, so
Thank you. I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this in character, but I was being nice because the honest answer would be, we could take you back to our settlement, but we'd have to kill you.
Yeah.
Well, I will then stay.
Just tell them that you're one of the children of the mist. They'll leave you alone.
Okay. She thanks you and then turns and walks back to Smutty's tent.
Rubella and Smutty sitting in a tree.
All right, so you guys make your way
He's my
back.
slow. Her name is actually Robella, but I've changed it to Rubella, and then slowly transforming it to Nutella.
Oh, boy. So you guys make your way back to the mech
Yep.
with your extra rope.
Right. Because now we can make a telekinetic check and a use rope check to see if we actually tied these two probably very differently sized ropes together.
Right.
Yeah, how thick is the rope? Is it the old style hemp rope that we're trying to join? Okay.
Yeah. And you find that one, the shortest portion of the ravine.
I just realized, since they're only collecting like rainwater from the occasional rains, 25 meters of rope is probably like a really kingly gift given how much hemp they had to grow to make it.
They're really putting all their hopes and dreams in us dealing with this
Yes.
porcelain prince.
Yes, they are.
Meanwhile, we're just fucking around trying to get back to our settlement. Although I would say in character that if they actually do have some technology that allows them to alter the rainfall, that's another thing that we're probably going to want to seize control of when we inevitably betray these people.
Yeah, I'm thinking if there's somebody that can control the weather, they have some stuff that maybe it's best to just leave them alone and not draw their attention too closely. You know, unless we want to be worshiping our new overlords.
I was sort of thinking that whatever this porcelain prince has that's keeping him in power, he hasn't wiped out these other tribes. And we probably want those resources for ourselves.
Yeah, but, you know.
And
Just
apparently, guarding the bridge, all he's got is like people with like slings and arrows and bolt action rifles. So his technological level can't be that high. He might have one off piece of really powerful technology. Although, frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's all just local myth. They're blaming him for a dry spell.
Maybe.
We do know that he has control of the iron supplies, though.
Either way, one thing at a time. Let's get on with this rope trick.
Right. I mean, frankly, if it wasn't for character logic, I would just assume the whole controls the weather thing is just superstitious nonsense. So
All right.
more telekinetics checks?
Yes, we're gonna. Yeah.
Should I do a survival check to try to tie these two ropes together?
Uh,
Or wait until the telekinetic check fails?
One rope comes undone.
yeah, that might be more dramatic.
Oh boy.
Okay, so first telekinetic
Okay.
check.
6.
That's exactly what you need for the very first one. The second one to get him out all the way.
5.
Oh no.
Okay, you would need.
I'm gonna use a hustle point.
That's probably a good idea.
7.
That's not enough. As you are moving him out, the strain of this procedure is weighing on you, and suddenly Skrillex starts to drop.
Now a survive check.
Yeah, to see the rope snaps.
Well, I mean, it's like it's a hemp rope and a nylon
Yeah.
rope tied together. That
Yeah.
knot could slip.
Yeah. Does anybody else have survive to assist or help?
I do, actually.
Okay, so you get a bonus die because severe.
Well, you might be better at it than me. What's your bonus to survive?
+0.
I'm also +0. So with this, what skill or what attribute would be used with this? Dexterity or what?
You tell me. I'll let you pick. You can explain
All right.
how you use it.
And I get an extra die.
Yep, because severe is helping you.
Well, I got an 11.
Okay, it holds. So whatever Zavir did in her assistance.
Actually, I got a 12 with the
Okay.
extra die.
Zavir might have known how to fasten two ropes together in a knot in such a way that doesn't break.
Oof. You
Right,
hear it
so-
against the wall.
Yeah.
There's a long arcing plummet.
You take 2 damage. As you slam against the side.
Yeah, so Skrillex is kind of seeing stars and just barely hanging on to the rope, which, it's tied to him, so he's got that going for him, but he's also he's not letting go of the rope, trusting in that knot.
So begin hauling him back up.
All right.
Yeah, sorry.
Big, what
about that.
happened?
Like I said, there's always a chance when you're out of my sight that you could slip. Unfortunately, that's what happened.
Are you okay, Skrillex? Do you need let me heal your wounds? And I'll go and heal. Let's see.
I, by the way, would have drank the water and eaten the rat.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if that affects me adversely. But I'm blaming. I think there may have been something wrong with that rat for me losing my concentration.
You get 2 hit points back, Skrillex.
Perfect. It's just what I need.
And you take 1 system strain.
All right. All right. Well, we don't really have any other choice, so should we try again?
Are you
Sure.
ready to try?
I mean, no time like the present. I'd really like to get my mech call taken care of, so the quicker we get out of this situation, the better.
Just give me 10 minutes to meditate and center myself, and then we can try again.
Okay.
And I will kneel down and close my eyes and begin to meditate.
All right.
And then after 10 minutes, get up and we'll try again.
All right.
First roll. 9.
Yep. No problem.
Second roll. 10.
Skrillex is across.
All right. So Skrillex, once he lands, he's going to look for anything that he can tie the rope around or utilize.
Okay. Yeah. You find like some solid rock that's like sticking up portion that you could tie it around.
All right. So survive to tie it?
Yep.
All right. I rolled a 7.
Okay. You have tied it.
So I'll yank the rope and assume that once they start pulling and realizing that it's taut, that signals that Skrillex did his job.
Plucks the rope. So, Zavir, probably the safest way for you to get across would be for you to hold on to the rope and have me, I assume you don't weigh more than 400 pounds. So have me telekinetically push you along so that at least you're not just relying on muscle power.
Is there still like a climbing harness?
Yeah, I have a climbing harness.
That is fair. We could. That works for me.
I mean, actually, one thing I didn't think to ask was, is there any place to tie the rope off on this end?
Yeah. You find a place too. There's like some jagged rocks you could tie it to.
But I mean, otherwise, it's, still a pretty long climb across. And there's one climbing harness. So if I push you across using telekinesis, then I would still have the climbing harness to use for my climb across.
That is fair. Well, hopefully your concentration will not falter.
Right. I mean, worst case scenario, my concentration falters and you have to climb the rest of the distance, whatever that is.
Yeah. Well, I will be ready, and I will So like Xavier would like get into, so there's this, she would like grab onto the rope and then like kind of inch along, kind of like when you're like on the side of a pool and you're just kind of pulling yourself along the wall. She would pull herself along, just kind of going with it, just in case if she falls or it fails, that she will like be ready.
Okay.
Right, and make sure your legs are wrapped around the rope so that they can catch you.
Yeah.
First check, 11.
Yeah. You just have to do one since the rope is set up. So you're able to just push her. I'm assuming you're just kind of like pushing her across.
Yep.
Yeah. So she gets across.
And then I will use my climbing harness and start to climb. It's a skill check either way, whether I use telekinesis or exert.
Right. Okay.
Seven.
Okay. Yeah. With the climbing harness, you managed. All three of you are now on the other side.
Oh,
Well, the hard part is done. Now we just have to get back to camp.
So we start walking.
All right. Give me a survival roll, somebody.
I can do it.
it'd be better if I don't.
Oof. That was not good. I got a 5.
Well, I can give you an extra die.
All right. It's
That's
a
a
9.
Okay. So you are, as you walk head out of the mist, you kind of get a general direction about where the camp is and begin to head that way. You pick up tire tracks, tire marks of vehicles that have been around in this area. And about 30 minutes in, you hear a vehicle like moving. It comes over the top of a berm.
In the fog?
No, you're out of the mist.
Oh, okay.
Comes over a berm and seems to be heading in a direction and turns and sees you and starts to head towards you. You would recognize this as one of the vehicles from the camp.
From our camp?
From your camp, yeah. And begins to pick up speed as it heads towards you.
Oh, thank God we're saved.
So the Xavier would be like waving her arms. I just hope it's not Kevin.
The vehicle begins to pick up speed and then slows down as it sees you waving. There's a gun pointed up at top, and then a door opens. Like pokes their head out, like, who goes there? Who is that?
This is Xavier, Krieg, and Skrillex from Sindum.
Oh. And kind of, you hear him talking inside the cab, and he sticks his head out again. We'll open the back. You can get a lift. You're headed to the camp, I would assume.
Yes. We have taken great pains to try to get back here.
Okay. And he closes the door. The back of the vehicle ramp opens. And I would assume you guys get in.
Climb in. If they have any snacks, like any salted nuts, I'd go in for there. Like, you know how sometimes people just have kind of like a goodie bag stashed in the back seat.
Yeah.
Or more crackers. Second miracle of the crackers.
Give me a notice roll.
I'm gonna make this an intelligence roll. 9.
So somebody has, left one of those dab green. Somebody's opened a packet of food, and these is like the sealed food rations that are supposed to last like thousands of years or hundreds or whatever. And it's like it's some sort of like tuna fish that's still sealed.
Oh God, tuna fish that can last thousands of years.
So that's how you know it smells great. Xavier would look at it and be like, maybe I'm not that hungry.
So the vehicle, you guys are in there for about an hour. It rolls back into the camp. It pulls up right in the main entrance where all the soldiers' quarters are. They stop and the ramp comes down.
All right, guys, we need to go right to General Marquardt.
I agree. So we head for his office, wherever that is.
At his his admin building. A few people kind of stop and notice as you guys walk by. You can easily tell camp there seems to be more people. It seems a little bit crowded. Head up to the admin building. There's like a dozen people out there, kind of like loitering, hanging out. And a person comes up to you, and you can tell they're an admin person with a clipboard, and goes to ask what you're here for, and then realizes who it is. Oh, okay. I was going to tell you to get a number, but you're back.
Yeah, so we need to see the general.
Okay. And follow me. So he leads you into the admin building, and he knocks on the door as Marquardt is having a conversation with somebody. It usually involves him yelling at someone, and they leave his office. And he just kind of is like, all right, who's next? And then sees the three of you and is like, looks kind of astonished. Well, what a surprise.
Did you not expect us to return?
I expected my shuttle to return. What is the word? Did you fly in with it? I didn't hear it.
No, we actually, I would at that point recount the whole story, starting with the anti-electronic field and the mist and the crash of the shuttle, and the mongrels and the cutters, and how Porcelain Prince has control of like the iron supplies, and how I would actually downplay the possibility that he can control the weather, but note that there is a superstition about that. And it's at least possible that there's some remnant technology from when these people arrived on the planet that he still is in control of, which may include some sort of satellite network that can influence the weather. And that they expect us to come back and help them assault the Porcelain Prince, which would be a good opportunity for us to take whatever resources he has for use by this settlement. However, our one shuttle is now kaput.
Yeah, I got the black box for it, but it was in my Mac, which is in the car, which doesn't work right now.
Right. Yeah, I would have also said that our vehicle is currently inoperative in the mist on the far side of a ravine.
Yes, but you have returned valuable information critical to the survival of this camp and Zindu. For that, I am grateful. Do you think that whatever these mongrels or cutters or princes have would be beneficial to the Empire?
Well, there is water at the bottom of the ravine, although it's hundreds of meters down. I've not seen other sources of fresh water on the planet, but something we should keep in mind in case we need water. If he has control of the oil supplies and the iron supplies, it is a step back technologically for us, but those are certainly resources we could make use of in the long term. I would recommend we go back and help the cutters to displace this prince, and then in turn we can displace the cutters easily enough. They're pretty primitive.
Do you think this prince can be negotiated with, and then we don't have to remove the cutters? It seems like we could take these other groups out fairly easily.
Well, I guess the question would be, what do we have to? The prince wouldn't necessarily know who we are or what we have to offer. What would we be
We
willing
are
to offer the
Sindum.
prince?
Well, that's what we have to offer. That should be sufficient.
Right, but he probably won't know the name since he's one of the people who's been trapped on this planet for 1,000 years.
Yes, these people are fairly primitive, despite knowing our same language.
Yes, but we are.
They
we
have
need-
cast iron bikes, for Christ's sake.
We need allies in this time. He may be a valuable ally. Unless you believe
Maybe.
these cutters to be more of an ally,
With that, I guess what Krieg is saying is that we can say we are Sindum, but that will mean nothing to these people. They do not have the brand recognition that the rest of the universe does.
yes,
They're uncivilized, in other words.
Yes.
unfortunately. But luckily, there are 3 saviors in front of me.
I would say at the moment there's not enough information on the porcelain prince to say whether or not he could be negotiated into being an ally of ours. He's probably as primitive as the rest of them and just wants to maintain his own power. We're relatively safe here on this side, but it definitely makes sense for us to go and try to get more information about the porcelain prince. We may be able to, at that point, figure out a way to negotiate with him.
Then we shall negotiate with him and find out what he has to offer. What do you need to bring with you?
Well, it would be useful for the community as a whole if there was some more reliable way to get across this chasm we encountered than what we did, which is to string a rope across it and climb.
Yes.
Well, I
So
will
while
have,
we're away, if an engineering detail could build a rope bridge across it, we can show you where our rope is right now. They can use that as a beginning to themselves get across.
but would you worry that these primitives may come across the bridge? And
I would. There would have to be a guard there, and if anybody who wasn't authorized came across the bridge, we'd have to either have it be retractable or have it be cut to drop them into the ravine.
yes, we could shoot them.
But if it was a rope bridge, only one of them could come across at a time.
Yes.
The worst they could do is bring a simple chemically propelled firearm.
Yes, they had. We were told that there is a bridge heading to the porcelain prince that was under heavy guard, with the only weapons being slings and bolt-action rifles,
Yes.
which is nothing to concern us.
As long as they
No.
can't come across in great numbers, they couldn't possibly overwhelm our forces. I would recommend that when a second shuttle arrives for our use, that it not fly through that cloud, although dispatching a science team to study it so that maybe we could figure out a way to neutralize it at some point might be in order.
Well, requisitioning one from Lord Fels would be very difficult. At this
Yeah,
point,
I
resources
understand.
are limited, and we would have to produce something in order to get additional resources. However, I have, in preparation for sending Illumination Boy and Dr. Henry across, we have fashioned a hot air balloon, which you will now, I will now give to you instead. You will make your way across.
Does that
How much
permit-
weight can this balloon carry?
Well, the three of you should have no problem.
Can it carry more?
How much resources do you need?
Well, I want to get my mech back, if possible.
A couple additional passengers, the mech should be able to be returned.
Yes.
Have we? I don't know. I assume we've noticed like periodic winds. The problem with a hot air balloon is there's no way to steer it. You just put it in the air, the wind pushes it in whatever direction the wind is going. So it's not like, oh, we want to go to that side of the chasm now, and that's where the balloon goes. Maybe it's a tech level 4 balloon that has steering.
Well, maybe it's got maybe well, if it can hover over the mist, like maybe you can have something to set a waypoint, and it will just float there.
Right. Well, my concern is whatever we're using to steer it, I hope it doesn't get affected by the mist.
How high? I guess we would when
I
we
mean,
were
maybe
the
we
mist,
just wait until the wind is going in the direction we want, and that's the only thing we can do. That's the way real hot air balloons work. It's like a balloon with a bunch of sails.
when we were on outside of the mist, did it go up as far as we could see?
Yeah.
Kind of want to ask, did anybody look out a window when they settled on this planet and not notice this mist that just rises up into orbit? Think that was weird?
So you believe that this steering mechanism, which has been fastened to it, will be ineffective in this mist?
If it's at all electronic, it's likely to be knocked out. Much like our vehicle and the mech and the systems on the ship were. I mean, perhaps if we go high enough, it won't be. There's got to be some limit. It can't extend out, presumably into orbit.
You guys are wearing vac suits.
Just a very high altitude balloon.
Yep.
Like the one that guy skydived from.
Well, it'll take some time to fashion it to ascend potentially over this mist, but maybe it can be done. And when you get to the other side, what is your plan?
We would descend. We would re-enter the mist to recover our vehicle and Skrillex's mech. We would then, if we can get the vehicle operational, that would be ideal, as we can then go and try to form an alliance with the barbarian tribe. Mostly, to be honest, my thinking was to use them as cannon fodder as we attempt to cross the bridge. So perhaps we should go and reconnoiter the bridge first, as then we might be able to make contact with the Porcelain Princess people there and open up a line of communication before we formally try to ally with the barbarians, who are apparently his enemies.
If we can take this balloon and take it into almost near orbit, can we just drop directly into the Porcelain Prince's castle and introduce ourselves?
We might be able to do that. Just fly across the bridge.
Why not just take the eagles to bring the ring and dump it in the volcano?
Right. Or just take the balloon and fly over the Porcelain Prince and just throw bombs out from low orbit. Either way, I think if we land the balloon in the prince's territory, bypassing the bridge, if he's as primitive as I'm thinking he is, he may take that as an aggressive move. Or he may hail us as gods who've descended from the sky.
Yes.
I think we could be convincing gods. You have
The one rule is, if he says you're God.
You say yes.
So yes, General Marquardt, the balloon is an excellent idea. Certainly the best option available to us.
Excellent. How soon can you return?
That is a little hard to predict, as we don't necessarily know what reception we'll receive on the bridge, or if our attempts, even if our attempts to negotiate with the Porcelain Prince are successful, how long it will take to get that meeting with him, exactly how far away he is from the bridge, and how long that might take. But several days.
Now, how long before you can depart?
That shouldn't take as long. This time, we should take additional rations and water supplies with us, as we weren't prepared to be stranded there. We should, that will be a possibility, as somebody may take shots at the balloon. At least we now know where to get across the ravine this time. And we have our rope already tied there.
Okay.
But once we get supplies and perhaps rest up a bit from the damage we've already taken, could probably leave tomorrow.
Excellent. I will have the balloon prepared and ready. Do you require an official send-off as the last time?
I leave that to you.
I'm just a bit worried, General. I mean, without my mech, I'm not really useful, so I'm not sure.
Also, do we have a vac suit that will fit Skrillex? He's just like a normal human-sized vac suit.
We got some Tupperware. We're gonna punch some holes in it.
I just imagine like kind of like the brain on the human body. I'm thinking in the brain. It's just like Skrillex on like a human vac suit. His head sticking out.
We might be able to. We'll fashion you some kind of suits that you can withstand some of the atmosphere.
Right, but even then, like, I don't mind going along, but I just don't know like what use I could have compared to you guys' ginormous bodies.
Well, step one is to recover your mech when we get across.
Yes, and I really hope that once it's out of the mist that it will start working again, but I'm not sure.
Well, if it doesn't, then I agree. I mean, you have a lot more technical expertise in certain areas than we do. But if at that point you want to return across our makeshift rope bridge, fair enough.
Yeah, I perhaps that is the best I can do. Is I can offer you guys any kind of technical advice that you might need. So in that sense, I might have some value. I'm just worried that, I can't really do much.
Well,
either way, we're going to need your help to figure out if the mech still works. I mean, we can't get it back across the ravine if you're not piloting it.
Yeah.
Is there any batteries or anything that we need to bring that could be of use in jump-starting the vehicle and your mech if
And
we do pull out the mist?
Potentially repairing them.
Those supplies we should bring.
Well, if part of the effect of the mist is to drain the battery of electronics, there is a hand crank that can be used to provide some power to the mech, although it's not one that I can use very well. I would need one of you to probably engage it.
I would be happy to help crank, and then I'm sure Krieg's abs will also crank this thing pretty good.
Well, I think we've taken up enough of the general's time. We can figure out what we need to take and acquire it.
He's the mentioning of Krieg's abs. He gets a little bit queasy and like starts to actually go out. Tomorrow then.
Very good. Thank you.
If you could just let I assume there's like some sort of quartermaster or something.
Yep.
You could just let him know that we'll be requisitioning the supplies we'll need.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Let's take a 5-minute break.
Bring some tools over. Like maybe we could have enough. We could bring over what we need to kind of set up a little workshop that we could kind of to work out of, I guess.
Yep.
Obviously that workshop can't be in the mist. But if we could figure out a safe place where we'd want to, wherever our allegiances end up lying, is that we could like set up our workshop there.
You know, we're still basically the general's dream probably is to send us into low orbit in vac suits he can sabotage.
Well, maybe at one point he was, but now, like with this information that you've relayed and the fact that the shuttle did not return, and then of course I'm looking up how high an hot air balloon can go.
Well, it depends on the balloon. Like normal hot air balloons don't go super, super high, but there are high altitude balloons.
Yeah.
And I would assume like whatever tech we can get our hands on, the general's probably dealing with tech level 4 stuff. Like all the good stuff is hidden for him.
Yep.
So I don't doubt he could get a balloon into the really high altitudes.
So anything specifically you're taking, you are given a vac suit, but it is, worn, it's older models, probably repurposed.
Everybody should get a climbing harness. Even
Yeah.
Skrillex.
Definitely.
Well, how am I going to carry a climbing harness?
Well,
It's full of thread.
That's true. We just need the rope from it. And we should take like additional rations and water in case we need it.
Take a bottle rocket and strap him to it and shoot him across.
Or a really well-made paper airplane.
Mm-hmm.
And, whatever Skrillex thinks he may need to fix his back.
Yeah. I don't know. I was saying that maybe like we might need to fend for ourselves. So if there's any like if there's like kind of like a toolkit or like a set of tools that Skrillex would need to like have like a mini workshop, it might be worth considering if there's something that we could do to kind of bring that along. And wherever we set up allegiances, whether it's with the porcelain prince or whether we align with the cutters and the barbarians and all that, like we could set up the workshop there so that if we do need to repair things and we're not able to get back so easily, we have like some means to.
So Skrillex has something like that in his mech. So as long as we're able to get to the mech, that's something that can be removed if need be. But yeah.
Okay.
So, because normally, I mean, Skrillex never really goes anywhere without his mech, and his mech is kind of a roving workshop as it is.
Should
Well, you're
probably take
definitely getting looks
additional.
because you're walking around without your mech.
Yeah. Everybody was like, what the fuck? Who's this little dude? How is he only like 6 inches tall?
I would ask for additional Lazarus patches.
All right. Okay, so you each get 1 each. So I don't even know if you used any last time. Zafir
Right.
got 2, so you should have 3, 2, 7 total amongst the 3 of you.
How does the Lazarus patch work?
It stabilizes you, I think, with a heal check. Oh, like good question.
I envision it kind of like a huge bandage that you kind of like put on, and it has all the antiseptic, all that stuff in it. So for
it's
you,
something-
it would So for you, it'd be like a body cast.
Right. So is it something that could be cut down when Skrillex is in need of it?
Yeah,
I'm not asking in terms of like cutting down the potions, like
Yeah.
dividing
Right,
potions.
yeah. For
but
you,
but
yeah,
is it something?
Yeah.
Because I imagine a Lazarus patch trying to put one on Skrillex would be kind of like trying to, bandage a fly with fly paper.
Maybe they make like small Lazarus patches.
extra small. Rada extra. That's all we have left is extra small.
Like the
Like-
band-aid, like the little
like-
circle
right.
band-aids.
Like baby-sized Lazarus patches. They just give us a box of Lazarus patches in various sizes.
The variety pack.
The smallest ones that have like little dinosaurs on them.
Yes.
Little
Okay.
spunkosauruses.
Yeah, actually, now that we're out, by the way, I would try to see, we might as well try to see if we can get my survey scanner working. Because I'm sure it also went down when we went into the mist.
Okay.
And it may give us some sense of what it will take to get other things up and running again. I feel like I'd like to ask for a telescoping pole, but I can't really see what it does. Can't find it. I assume it's just like a pole that extends outward, like a 10-foot pole that extends.
Yeah,
Oh,
the-
no,
it's-
it's not.
Instead
It's
of
a
the
30 centimeter baton.
instead of
This
calling it
pole extends and locks into a 3.048 meter extension. So yeah, a 10-foot pole.
Okay. Yeah, they couldn't call it just a like the old school adventure 10-foot pole. It's
But it's telescoping,
Yeah,
so
that's
it shrinks down.
TMCR.
At first, I thought it said it extends and locks into a 3,048 meter extension.
wow.
Yeah, that's a hell of a telescoping pole.
Put Skrillex on the end of it and just send it over and right to the porcelain prince. So yeah, if Skrillex wants to fix your scanner.
Okay, so the scanner needs work after coming out of the mist.
Yep.
Okay, that's good. It gives Skrillex an opportunity to kind of assess and prepare for what's to come ahead with the vehicle and the mech. So I'll do a fix roll.
All right.
I got a 6.
Okay. If you want to use a hustle point, you can. You need an 8.
Dude,
I'll
not
be
for my max.
requesting. I'll be requesting a second survey scan. And I'm happy to turn in the broken one if it's not taken by Skrillex. Although at this point, it's like the size of him, so he probably wouldn't want to carry it.
Yeah, considering the nature of your mission, they will issue you a survey scanner. It's used, but not as bad as the one that they gave you.
I mean, the way I see it, this is our time to get any gear we may ever want, because we're less likely to get it for, our own purposes later. They might even give us a compat if we ask for it.
Well, they do have an excess supply now because they confiscated the normal compats from everyone else, so that they actually have they have a bunch of them laying around.
You know what we should actually ask for? A field radio and a power cell that we would leave outside the mist, obviously, when we go in. But then we wouldn't have to come back to report in.
Peter, when I was trying to fix the scanner, did it give me any kind of insight into what went wrong with it, or what's currently where the malfunction is?
Yeah, it's the power. The power was fried. It's
Okay.
like there was a massive power surge.
All right, so then that's gonna, Skrillex imagines that's gonna be tough to fix then, because rerouting power and all that stuff. Although I'm sure that my mech at least is built with some kind of surge protector in cases like that. So
All the fuses are blown. Add that to your list.
a bunch of fuses.
Right. I mean, whatever safeguards your suit has, it wasn't enough to stop it from shutting down.
Oh, right. And not from shutting down, but perhaps limiting the extent of potential destruction.
So do you want a field radio?
If they'll give us one.
Um,
And at least one type A power cell to run it. So we could even pop the battery out if we absolutely positively ever have to take it into the mist.
you can get a talk roll for that. Give me a 7 and you get a field radio.
8.
Okay. It's got some damage if you want to document it as you're signing it out.
Yeah.
Like
I
the
don't know.
earpiece, some of the rubber is missing and there's a crack in the plastic and one of the panels is held on by chewing gum.
And I'll ask for some duct tape. Better secure that panel.
Yes. All right. All right. Anything else?
Nothing I can think of.
I would get a survival kit.
Okay.
In fact, I would suggest that we all get survival kits.
Yeah, I have a survival kit. Survival kit doesn't come with rope, oddly, but
It gives you +1 on your survival checks.
right. If they're related to the sort of equipment it has. So what the hell? I'm just going to ask for it. One telekinetic generator, please. Let's use telekinesis to recharge batteries.
Telekinetic generator.
It's tech level 4.
Give me a D100 roll.
$47.
They don't have one.
I just shake my head in disappointment.
But how cool would it have been if they had one and would have given it to you?
Yeah.
I mean, I only have one thing that runs on a battery, but
So I'd probably get another. I had 7 days of 6 days of rations because we were out for a day. So I would get 14 total. And then I had 2 Lazarus patches, so I probably would get like another 2 just to have them.
We said we could have one more each.
If you want to, if you want to make a talk roll, you can get an additional one since you work in the medical field.
You know, I'm going to do that. I got a 9.
Yes. He looks both ways and slides you another one.
It is most appreciated.
Don't worry, Kevin hasn't taken your room.
What is he doing anyway? What is he up to while he is preparing to join us?
It's just making videos and accumulating subscribers at this point.
It's vlogging.
He is going to have if he ever joins us, our entire journey will be documented and viewed by however many subscribers he has at that point.
We'll eventually learn that he's actually just on TikTok, so all of his videos are like 2 minutes long.
Yep.
And mostly are just like him lip syncing to little snippets of songs.
Yep. Or demonstrating kung fu moves, which you've already
Right.
seen.
And recorded over.
Yep. All right, so you've got your gear. The next morning, you see the hot air balloon with the big Sindum fist on it.
Is the balloon the fist?
Oh yeah, that's even better. The balloon is the fist. Yep. Yes.
Sorry, what did I miss?
Is it upright?
Hot
like
air balloon
this, or
is in
it
the
like
shape
this?
of the hot air balloon is in the shape of the Sindhu fist symbol.
Nice.
But it's kind of fuzzy, but yeah. You can kind of see it. There's the fist.
Nice. So yeah, if we definitely landed that in the middle of the porcelain princess, I think that would be a hostile action. Either that or we're just very strong gods.
Yep. With your vac suits, Kevin is there, like getting pictures with all the people who have come to watch you guys take off, like getting selfies with them, and it looks like he's got his compad out and he's doing some kind of commentary and talking to people. Markwar is out of his building, just kind of standing there by the door, waiting for all this to be over with. Do you have any final any words? Is there a sermon that's going to happen? The sermon, the hot air balloon.
Yeah, I would tell this sermon of the miracle of the crackers from last time, and how Jagger Fels made the crackers last.
Give me a notice roll. Everybody can give me a notice roll.
Nine.
5.
8.
Yeah, so Krieg and Skrillex notice that Markwar slips away during the sermon at some point, and then he kind of reappears as it's winding. Seems to know when it's about to wind down. And the balloon begins to take off from the camp, lifting up as everyone cheers.
See, I thought Markwar would have cut that rope like halfway through the sermon.
and you guys begin to lift off.
Do I assume we know how to steer this thing?
Yeah, you know how to steer it. Yeah. No one took balloon piloting.
That means you're at -2.
Yeah. So I take it you are going to go as high as you can and then go over the mist, and then
Yes.
Yeah.
okay.
So, does anybody have any ranks in pilot?
No.
Okay, so this is awkward because I can pilot, although I don't believe that my little hands could actually maneuver any of the equipment that would direct this balloon.
Can you?
I would have requested a milk crate from the quartermaster.
Okay. Yes, they can provide you with a milk crate or a phone book. One of the old Sindoom phone books that they have.
Yeah, so I would need like 4 milk crates, being 6 inches tall. So this is gonna be interesting. So you want me to do a pilot roll then?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's good.
Okay. I'm gonna use strength because I'm sure
Yeah.
Skrillex is gonna struggle with this. Oh, not bad. I got an 8.
Okay. You manage to ascend to a point where the mist is very, very thin. It's very cold, but you have your used vac suits and pass through the mist without. At one point, the thing that's heating the air flickers out for just a brief second, comes right back. But you
So
are through.
we
You are through the mist.
passed through the mist, or did we go over it?
You went up over it, but it's sort of. It was very thin at that point, like as opposed to how it was before.
Oh, I see.
And you are now on the other side.
Really, Marquardt should be sending out science teams. This could be a tremendous weapon. They could figure out ways to generate this mist.
There we go. So where are you headed?
First, we are landing somewhere not that far off from the catapult because we
Okay.
need to get the mech back.
Okay.
And as we come down, we would probably stare at, or at least Krieg would stare at the catapult to see if it's been remanned, because that might mean we'll have a fight on our hands because they're going to come to check out the balloon.
You don't notice anybody at the catapult, but you do see plumes of dust in the distance that are very indicative of bicycles.
Do they look like they're coming our way?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're going to have to fight them before we leave the balloon, or else they'll take or destroy the balloon. All right, we can't leave Skrillex here to fend them off on his own, and moving that mech or the vehicle is a two-person job, a two-big person job. No offense, Skrillex.
None taken.
If we can, is it possible to position the balloon? Because we know that the last time we were accosted by the mongrels,
Mm-hmm.
they had slings, and
Mm-hmm.
they were able to hit the ship. Would we have a sense of how, of like the range of those sorts of weapons, and like we could just like stay above that so they can actually hit the balloon or hit the
Yeah, I
vessel?
mean, yeah.
Well, I could do a. What would it be, like maybe a fix as kind of like an engineering check? and then that might be able to figure that out.
I mean, yeah.
What kind of check?
Well, I was thinking fix because that's kind of like representative of like engineering knowledge.
Yeah. Does anyone have proficiency in fix?
Yeah, I do. I'll make the roll. And
That's-
8.
Yeah, you have. I mean, yeah, you've seen these guys in action before. You could stay a particular distance away from them unless somebody, unless one in the group had a particular exceptional skill. But from what you've seen, no. I mean, you could stay just above their range with their slings.
Yeah, so as long as we keep as high as we are, we should be fine. They shouldn't be able to pose any threat.
Is there like an eyeball of how many meters above the ground we are?
Out of the range of a sling.
So,
Yeah.
so what you want to do is you want to take your fingers and you want to hold them out at arm's length and then continue to squeeze until you get their head. And then that tells you how far away they are.
We're out of the range of slings, but I'm trying to see if we're out of the range of my laser pistol for picking these things off.
What is the range? Does it say what the range
Right.
is?
I mean, right, with disadvantage, I can snipe them at 600 meters.
And I can do 100 with a pistol, like on a normal roll, 300 at disadvantage. I didn't think
drop pebbles.
We can also drop pennies.
I mean, if we're really out of their range, it's sort of more or less just a matter of time before we kill them off. Or
Yeah, you don't need to roll. You can, if you choose to pick them off, you will be able to pick them all off.
yeah, we would do that.
Yeah,
Just a matter of how many resources we use doing it.
Well, it probably would.
It doesn't actually cost me resources to do it because I use telekinetic weaponry.
So I would start picking them off if they could tell that they were like lining up and like they were going to attack, or if they had the dog. If they were the dog, they're mongrels.
Well, yeah, you would assume because they're on their little bicycles and they are slinging rocks and missing, and then like one tries to stand on the bike and sling his rock and misses, and then one gets on one's shoulders and they try to sling it. And they're coming up with all sorts of ways to
Getting a human pyramid going. One guy brought a trampoline. He's doing like dunk slings.
Yeah. So if you want to pick them off, Krieg, you could.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that's, if you guys want a bicycle.
So yeah, you managed to pick them all off. And now there are 5 dead bodies laying there next to bikes.
Right. I would have left the unicycle. I wouldn't have brought the unicycle into the hot air balloon.
Okay.
So once they're dead, then we can descend and push we push the car back from the edge a little bit, but push it out of the mist.
All right.
And then let Skrillex fix his mech.
So if you want to make a fix roll.
Okie dokie. Nine.
It takes you a little bit of time, but it begins to power up again.
Huzzah! Skrillex gets really super excited. He goes over all the electronics and everything just to make sure that it's not like just a glitch, kind of like sputtering.
So now do we want to take the balloon to the bridge or try to fix the vehicle and take it? Because if we're taking the balloon, then we probably don't want to try to fix the vehicle. We just want to push the vehicle back into the mist where it will be relatively safe. But it's not much of a Mad Max campaign if we're just flying in a balloon.
If we were going to bargain with this porcelain prince and have anything to offer, our balloon shows a very visceral power of Sindum, as in the giant fist floating in the air. We could, I think, it might. I suppose that the vehicle as well. It would show our technological advancement to help give us some leeway.
Well, I'm the big hustling is badass.
Big hustling. I mean, it is definitely a few hustle points well spent.
In the distance, you see more plumes of smoke as more bikes are headed your way.
Yeah, if we took big hustling, where would we put the balloon? Is there can we tell if there's we can't bring it in the mist because it's going to fry the engine. It's going to fry the engine.
How sophisticated is it? Could we program it to fly up and come back down on command?
Well, if my mech is working, then that means my toolbox is accessible. And if my toolbox is accessible, and if we have the vehicle, whether the vehicle is working or not, we could probably salvage some parts from the vehicle to make some kind of makeshift device that allows that to happen.
Yeah.
I think that is a good idea. I would hate for this balloon to get stolen and fall into the wrong hands. It would be an embarrassment to have some heathen from this world parading around and a Sindum with the Sindum emblem.
Absolutely. So here's what I'm thinking. We attach some kind of weight to make the balloon somewhat neutrally buoyant enough to where it doesn't really move, but it's not close enough to the ground for anybody to catch it or hang on to it. But then we use some kind of radio signaling device that would allow for a quick release to be attached to whatever this weight is. And then, well, actually, that would be the reverse of what we need. That would cause it to go up.
So could we tow the balloon behind Big Hustlin'? like a parasailer just trailing behind us?
Sure.
I mean, then we can have a lookout.
Yeah.
You could have someone if Skrillex can pilot, Krieg could sit up in the balloon with his range and pick off from a distance.
And then we've got the badassery of the Big Hustlin' and the balloon.
Yeah. A shock bumper plus balloon plus sniper equals damn.
All right, everybody give me an initiative roll.
Oh boy.
Ugh, 3.
1.
7.
All right, Skrillex, you're up first. As you can see that the mongrels are getting closer on their bikes in probably 2 rounds they will be here, like in melee range.
Okay. So, and we're still kind of working on the car and everything,
Yeah, I mean,
correct?
yeah,
Or has
like-
that already been done?
like having this conversation about what you're going to do.
Okay. So then Skrillex would turn. His hands would turn into the saws, but then he would also lower his combat rifle, and then he would begin spray and pray and spray. So doing the burst fire. Yikes. I got a 5 on my attack, but I'm going to use a hustle point for that. I rolled a 1.
Yikes.
Okay. Well, give me a D100 roll.
My suit is still turning on. 27.
Yeah, you just embarrass yourself.
Okay. So it's still calibrating.
Yeah, that's it.
I need to be like RoboCop with Murphy, like aiming for him with the baby food jars.
All right, so you can see that there are 5 bikes. There are 2 tandem bikes and 3 unicycles headed in your direction.
Oh man.
And they are
We need to weight the balloons down. We've got all these bikes now.
That's true.
Cast iron tandem bikes all hanging out the sides of the balloon.
stay away. So 2 rocks go flying way off, missing. Look like they're headed to try to hit your mech, Skrillex. And they maybe was in that direction. It was terrible. Another one launches a rock, but it's hard to tell. It looks like it landed behind him.
I've done that.
12 doesn't hit you, Zavir, does it?
12 does not hit. There it is.
Okay. But 1 flies by. 2, you can see distinctly hit and strike the balloon, and then land to the ground. Krieg, you're up.
Okay, so let's see. Well, I'll use my on-turn action to turn on the telekinetic armory, and then I'm going to fire a tight beam at one of them.
Okay.
How many are there?
There are 5 bikes, a total of 7 attackers, 3 unicycles, and 2 tandems.
Okay, so whichever one is the closest of the attackers.
Okay, yeah, the first tandem bike.
23 to hit.
Oh, yeah.
3 damage.
Okay. See, he takes a hit, but he keeps the bike steady. Zavir, is that your complete action you done?
Yep.
Okay, Zavir.
That's good though, because my armor class was 11 until that turn.
Yeah, they were firing at disadvantage because how far they are at this point.
Zavir is going to pull out her laser pistol and take a shot.
Okay, which one?
At the tandem bike that Krieg shot at.
Okay.
Wow, that was a 3. Did not came nowhere near. Um, see, I didn't take gunslinger, so
All right. It strikes the dirt. Skrillex.
All right, I am going to continue to burst fire at the closest one. Not much better, a 9.
Fire just misses. He swerves the bike out of the way. Deftly moves. So the first bike.
Continuing calibration.
I don't have to make all these friggin' rolls. So the first tandem bike is on Krieg, and they will attempt to shoot their slings. Does a total of 20 hit.
Yes.
4 damage.
Well,
Well, you
it's
do
like
have a
it's-
vac suit on, right?
Right, but my armor class is better than a vac suit.
Okay. I didn't know if it reduced damage.
I think so.
We'll say it halves the damage the vac suit does. These aren't magic rocks.
Hmm.
All right, the next the unicycle is going to go after Skrillex. That would be a 9.
That's a miss.
That would be a miss. And Zervir, I think a 23 hits.
it does.
If you have your vac suit on, you only take 1 damage.
Yeah, I didn't take it off, so I would.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, it hurls this rock and it hits you. The other 3 will attack the balloon. That is not wearing a vac suit. All right, 3 more rocks strike the balloon, but it does not tear it or rip it. You can tell. They are now up on you. And Skrillex.
All right. So they're in melee range now?
Yep.
All right. So Skrillex is going to command his mech to get up off of his knee and then start using his circle saw hands at the nearest one.
Okay.
This one's a 16.
No, that's a hit. Yeah.
6 damage.
That one's dead. Yeah.
Nice. So Skrillex gets up. He brings the saw around right through the head. Doesn't cut it clean off, but enough to where it reveals vertebrae and it's like and sprays blood everywhere.
Yeah. This is on the tandem bike. The second, the other person, the other mongrel on there manages to keep the bike upright as he gets sprayed with blood. He kind of slumps and falls off.
He must be like, they must be jacked if he can keep up like a cast iron tandem bike on his own. Like they must be like have some otherworldly strength.
Is that your full action?
Yeah.
Let's see. Skrillex and Zephyr, go ahead and make evasion rolls.
Okay.
I made mine.
Also made it.
Okay. You guys move out of the way as you hear ring, ring. And the guys riding the unicycle, a blade comes out and he tries to swipe you with it and misses.
Is a bell on a unicycle that he was able to ring?
Yes, yes. The other three, they're going to
Or
attack.
did he just say ring ring?
There you go. Even better. That's how it activates.
Ring ring.
Ring ring.
But he says it like ominously, like
Ring ring. So the other. So they're just like hurling the rocks as they're going around the balloon and chucking and hitting them. So I need each of you guys to roll 2d6. Do not add any modifier.
and
You got
Give me that
Eight.
total. 8.
2.
Oh no. What'd you get, Kurt?
10.
Kurt to save the day. Okay. I need to know how many HP this balloon had. Excellent. All right. It is still, the integrity is still there. Krieg, you're up.
How close are they now?
They're all around. I mean, they're all riding their bikes around you. I mean, they're all within melee range.
Okay, so if I can still see the one who I hit last time, how close is he?
He's dead.
Okay.
Skrillex killed him. He was unable to attack you as he's holding the bike up, and his buddy just died.
Okay, well, I would then shoot at another one who's nearby. Are they in melee range?
Yeah.
Okay, then I would not. I would instead form the telekinetic sword and attack with that.
Okay.
18 to hit,
Oh yeah.
9 damage.
So there's one that tried to sideswipe Skrillex, and he comes by you, and you can describe how you kill him.
As he comes close to me, I just hold out the blade of my sword and he impales himself on it as he tries to ride by.
Yep.
And then I shake the sword to the side and he falls over.
Yep. And the bike, his unicycle, still upright, moves, and you just hear from the ground, ring, ring. Severe.
Severe is gonna try picking off one of the other unicyclists, or actually the remaining tandem bicyclist that has body parts or viscera all over his face.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't hit.
Okay. Skrillex.
All right, so whoever's the closest guy to me, I'm gonna follow through my swipe with another swipe.
Okay.
Yikes. Okay, I rolled a 0. So that's technically a 2 on the die.
Okay. So it's not a natural one.
Right.
Okay. They're moving around. It's just you swipe, and there's just so many.
Yeah.
They're not in the traditional chevron formation, so it is very confusing. All right, Krieg, give me evasion roll as the one.
Yeah.
He comes by, ring, ring, and strikes you with the blade. You will take the rocks. You'll take 3 damage. You'll take the damage. Actually does.
It does 3 damage.
Yep. So the one guy on the tandem bike swings around and hits you with the blade. The guy on the unicycle, he runs his unicycle, stops, jumps off, and gets into the balloon. that. I mean, they're not master tacticians here, so they will continue to attack this balloon. The other tandem bike, they throw it, and then you hear, and they have punctured a hole in the balloon. The last guy on the tandem bike jumps off and gets in the balloon as well, like he's in the basket. There's two of them in the basket now, scrounging around. Krieg, you're up.
So I'm going to attack one of the guys in the basket.
Okay.
19 to hit.
Yep.
10 damage.
Yeah, he's dead. You can describe how he dies.
So I come up and just completely decapitate him in a single swipe.
Okay. Is his head in or outside the basket?
I would say it's in the basket. Like
Okay.
his body didn't move as the blade went through his neck. The
Yep.
head just sort of rolled off and fell into
Rolls
the
up.
basket.
Yeah. There's blood everywhere. Zavir.
Zavir's gonna run up to Krieg and heal him because he looks like he took a hit. So Krieg, you get healed back to full. Yeah.
And a point of system strain.
And a point of system strain.
All right. Is that your turn?
Yeah, that's my turn.
All right, Skrillex.
All right, so there's two people in the basket, you said?
There's one now.
Right.
Yeah.
So Skrillex is going to turn and attack that guy. Now, are there any of these bicyclists in melee range of me?
I would say they all are. They're kind of like all riding around like in a circle.
All right, so does that mean I'm not able to use my rifle while
Yeah,
they're
you can.
in melee?
Yeah, you can use a rifle. It's not like, it's not a situation of, you know what I mean.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to burst fire at the guy in the basket and hope that I don't miss and hit the balloon. 11.
Yeah, that's what you need.
All right, so 4 damage.
Yeah. He is blasted. As you can see, he's bent down doing something in there. Let's see. So as he is shot, you can see momentarily disappears beneath the basket, then comes up and he's got some sort of random part in his hand, and he's looking for one of his friends and he throws it.
Can I do a fix check to see what kind of part that he took out and to know what level of worry that Skrillex should be?
Sure, I'll let you do that.
$10.
Yeah, this thing won't function without it.
And he tossed it down?
He tossed it to his buddy, who the one who is at the solo on the tandem bike, and he caught it.
Okay. So I'm going to point that out to the others. The balloon won't work without that thing. Get him!
Let's see. That's what he did. That's what he did. These guys were attacking the balloon. So the guy, the one tandem bike that's left has both of them on it, rides around, and will head for. Let's roll. Let's see what happens. 2. Heads for Krieg. Give me an evasion roll.
Failed.
These people, ring, you're hit with 5 damage as they come by and slash their blades on you again. All right, Krieg, you are up. There's one guy in a basket who's taking damage. He threw a part to a guy who's on a tandem bike by himself who caught it, and then there's another tandem bike who just swiped you with their blades.
I'm going to focus the energy to fire at the guy who took the part.
Okay.
Am I at disadvantage
No.
to hit that guy? Okay.
No.
19 to hit,
Yeah.
5 damage.
Yeah. He slumps down. He grabs himself as he's bleeding. I'm sure it was it a telekinetic shot or
Yeah, it was
What-
a token
okay.
shot.
okay. He drops the part. It lands in the dirt.
So I'm going to move in that direction and try to pick it up.
Okay. Zavir, you're up.
I'm gonna focus my. I'm gonna try to shoot the guy in the basket
Mm-hmm.
before he can do anything else. 0.
Is that would you roll a 2?
I roll a 3.
Okay. At least not a 1. Give me a percentage roll.
All right. I just, yeah, 4.
You fire and blow a hole right in the side of the basket, but it's a perfect hole, a laser hole. Strelix, you're up.
All right, so Krieg is heading over to the part, right?
Yep.
So Skrillex will continue firing on the dude in the basket with a burst. $14 and 12 damage.
Yeah, he collapses. You want to describe how he dies? That's fine.
Yeah, it's just it's very similar to when in RoboCop when Ed 209 just blasted that dude full of holes and then he fell out the window.
His hands grow like really huge.
Yeah. Any chance that dude might land on one of the bike riders?
Give me a percentage roll.
27.
Just misses. They veer out of the way. All right. So the 10, let's see. The tandem bike rides around and goes by and scoops up the part and begins to take off. And the other guy is trying to move his bike, but he's having a hard time because he's injured and he's by himself. Krieg.
How many are left?
3.
So I'm going to target. Who's the closest to me? Have I picked up that part yet?
As you were focusing on it, the bike came by and swiped it.
Okay. So I'm going to shoot at that guy.
Okay.
10 to hit. Missed.
Just missed. Yeah, he like snatches it, and it hits, it ricochets off the cast iron. You have ricochet damage.
Nope.
Shock damage.
Nope.
Okay.
Not for this attack.
All right. Zavir.
Zavir will try to shoot at that same one.
Okay.
Does not hit. It's a 9.
Fire into the dark, into the horizon. Strelix, they're getting away with that part.
So Skrillex is going to run at the guy and fire on him as well as he's holding the item. Burst fire. $10.
Just misses. It's landing all around him. Scorch, bouncing, hitting the bike. The bike's got blast marks on it. They proceed to ride away as the tandem bike is just hauling ass at this point, and the one that has just the one turns and will hurl us. He's going to use his sling attack. And who's he going to pick on? Zavir with a 6. I think that misses.
It does. Thankfully.
It lands harmlessly on the ground. Krieg.
I'm gonna shoot again at the guy who's riding away with the part.
Yep.
$15 to hit.
Yeah.
11 damage.
You can tell me how he dies.
So as I focus my energy, this particular attack comes out as a number of little shards of force that fire out at him. They come and pepper him in the back, causing the bike to topple over end as a Wilhelm scream is emitted into the night.
All right. So the bike crashes to the ground. The one guy starts to crawl away.
And then I'm going to move in his direction.
All right, Zavir.
I guess I'm gonna give chase and as well and see if I can maybe this time I can hit something. No, not this time. It's a 9, so. But I'd be there in case Krieg got hit and needs a heal.
All right, Strelix.
All right, so how far is the part from me at this point?
In one movement, you can get there.
Okay. So I'll get there. I'll pick it up. Do I have enough for an action to take a shot?
Yeah, we'll say you do. Is that one guy is like on the ground as his bike is flipped over.
Okay. Oh, the one guy is like right next to me on the ground.
Yeah, so Krieg peppered that one who died, and he dropped the part, and the other guy was riding, and the bike flipped over, and he landed on the ground, and he's kind of like looking around, trying to find it.
Right. So Skrillex comes up with his saw hands. One of them transforms back into a regular hand as he scoops it up, and as he scoops it up, the other hand kind of drags along the ground into sliding, trying to get into that guy's head, neck, wherever he can get. So 9.
He just
But
moves
I
out
do
of the way.
2 shock damage.
Okay.
So it does nick him. It just
Yep.
he's able to move out of the way.
Takes off his ear. All right. So I think we did this before. Grapple check is what the 2d6 opposed exert, right? Did we do that? Is that how we did it?
That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Skrillex, give me a grapple check. Exert.
All right. Can I do exert with intelligence since I'm piloting?
Sure.
I got a 5.
So as he, this one guy gets nicked and gets up and kind of spins around and grabs and pulls a part right out of your hand.
Okay.
Because he is ripped. You know, they ride cast iron bikes. So
Right.
he's got...
He probably did the James Bond like thigh squeeze to grab it out.
You're muted.
He grabs the part with his thighs.
Yes. And the other guy who is on, left on the bike will attempt to. So give me another exert roll.
Me?
Yep.
Three.
So the trailing bike with the guy who's just by himself rides by and leans his shoulder, and like you don't see him. He like checks you from behind and knocks you prone.
Okay.
You don't take any damage. Krieg, in the distance you can see that there's big plumes of smoke headed your way, but you would figure that these are probably not bicycles.
So how many bicycle guys are left?
There's one on a bike, and then there's another guy on the ground who's just grabbed the part.
I would go after the guy who just grabbed the part.
Okay.
How close is he to me?
You would have to use a ranged weapon.
Okay. 20 to hit.
Yeah.
15 damage.
Okay. He is very dead. You can describe how he dies.
So again, these shards of force come out, but they all sort of center right around where I imagine his heart would be if he's a human, and it blows a nearly symmetrical hole through him, and he drops.
And the part drops to the ground. Severe.
Xavier is gonna run and do a rugby scoop to pick up the part.
Okay. You give me a roll for that if you want to use exert or.
Exert makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
This is a 6.
Yep, that's just enough. You run by and grab it just as that guy on the other bike who shoulder checked Skrillex down comes back and it looks like he's going to reach for it, and you just grab it before he does.
So, how much movement? So, like, how much? Let's see. I forgot how much movement we get.
10 meters.
What do you want to do?
I wanted to start running back towards the basket.
Yeah, you can start running back.
So I'm gonna start running back towards the basket. I don't know if
Okay.
I'll make it to the basket.
Yeah, I'll probably take you around to get back to the basket. Skrillex.
All right. So, the first thing I'm going to do is get myself up. And stars without numbers. What kind of action is that?
You can just stand up.
Okay. Is there anybody still around me?
Yeah, there's one guy left. The guy who just shoulder checked you. He
All
tried to
right.
grab the part and he missed.
So, circle saw hands come out. And a miss. But I still do 2 shock damage.
He is still up. As it just puts another cut in him and he starts bleeding from his various patches of skin and hair missing. And he gets up and he starts to run away. He starts to scamper away. He leaves his bike behind and starts to run. As you can see that his bike is damaged and he probably couldn't ride it anyway. Him and his impressive thighs begin
Pounding off into the distance.
Yes.
And that's what we noticed. That is the plume of dust coming towards us. The thundering of thighs.
Yep. if anybody wants to shoot at him or just let him run away.
I would say ring. Like fire a pure beam of telekinetic force.
Yep.
25 to hit, but only 4 damage.
Okay, he had 1 hit point. How does he die?
Similar to the first guy, although the hole in his body is like right through the back of his head, dissolving his face.
All right. They are all dead. Various spike parts. You see 2 huge plumes of smoke as they get closer and closer. You realize that they are some kind of vehicle, and they have a bunch of spikes and stuff all over them and twisted metal. And they ride up, and on the grill of the first one, as it approaches, you can see that there is a bike and some sort of body attached to it that looks fairly fresh. And they drive up and kind of stop and screech.
Is it that woman? Back bar servant.
And the door opens and 2 people get out, both wearing their, one is wearing the mask of a cutter, but the other one has long hair with a mask of a cutter and some kind of rusted armor.
Oh, it's Nutella.
And she gets out and grabs some kind of bar and pries the body of a mongrel off the grill, and that'll probably be a good stopping point. Also, you can go to level 2 now.
Woo.